Hi. Hi.
Hello, Simon.
How are you?
Hello. I'm very well, thank you. And you?
Yeah, I'm all right. You are in the UK
That's right.
and you're running the Airbnb business.
That's correct, yes.
Cool. All right. So tell me what's going on.
So about 2 years ago, we started this business. And I mean, the starts is always the hardest bit. And we managed to get it off the ground and scaled into 7 locations now within London. We all operate within the city, and we're finding that we're quite stagnant in terms of expansion. And where well I had in my thought that it may be a great idea to seek investors. However, I've been struggling with that, and so I don't know whether it's a case where we still need to improve, or my approach is not the best, and or maybe we need to get more investor ready. But yeah, I wanted to find out from expert people what their thoughts were.
So before anything else, you need to think about, if you haven't yet, what do you want from the business? Have you ever taken a chance to just stop and think about that?
I mean, my goal in it was always to be nationwide, the go-to when it comes to accommodation. So be one of the biggest providers in the country.
Okay. And did you ever set financial goals based on that or number of doors?
To be honest, I did, but because things don't always go as you planned them, I kind of drifted from that. I mean, I had a goal last year to finish in 30 units, and yeah, it wasn't achieved. So yeah, the
Okay,
goals haven't really been met because it's really cash heavy business.
of course. I get that. So the thing I want to focus on with you right now is how to realign your goals because you had a vision, which is
Mhm.
important,
Yeah,
and you feel like you're not on track for that vision because you missed the goal from last year.
somewhat. Yeah.
And just because you go for investors doesn't mean that that's going to get you out of stagnation. Just because you get
Okay.
money from other people doesn't mean you're going to magically hit those 30 doors or you're going to become the number one in the country. So let's go back to your mindset and get you out of whatever is in your head that's causing you to allow the stagnation to happen.
Okay.
Once we've addressed that, everything else is possible to talk about. How about that?
Sure. Sounds good.
Okay. Why do you feel like you're stagnating?
I've tried many solutions to grow the business bootstrapped because we started with a lot of loans actually. And so I've been trying to maximize profits in order to not need investors for the last 6 months. And even though we've improved somewhat in that sense, still not enough to take things to a big level, let's say. So in my head, I'm just thinking, okay, then if this is not really it, then what's it, you know?
So you feel like you're stagnating because you you don't want investors, yet you were just looking for investors to get out of the stagnation. So you've put yourself in a loop.
Kind of thing, yeah. Kind of
Okay.
thing.
So good that we have acknowledged that your frustration has forced you into a loop. So the question
Okay.
is, how do we get you out of this loop so that you can feel like you're growing again? Have you ever celebrated a win? Have you ever felt at any point in the last few years that you've won?
No.
So you've never celebrated.
Mm, Not as in take a whole month off just because I hate one month.
No,
No, no.
that's not celebrating a win. Celebrating a win is acknowledging that something has happened which has gotten you closer to your goal of becoming the number one provider of Airbnb homes in the United Kingdom.
I haven't seen it as a step closer, but I have seen it as a progression ladder. Yeah, in that sense, yeah, I've acknowledged the progressions we've made. Yeah.
As as far as I'm concerned, every house that you open the doors to is a win. because that's one step
Mm.
closer to getting to your
Yeah, in
vision
that way,
of.
yeah.
So why have you not celebrated every new house? And celebration can be, if you're married, taking your wife out to a nice dinner. It could be giving yourself, going to a fancy massage. It could be whatever it is that you want, but why have
Mm.
you not celebrated that?
I guess it's the thing of every time we open a door, it's we now need to make it generate money. And so in my head is okay, we finished the first part. Now the hardest part comes after. So it's making an income generating asset per se. So in
Does
my head it's
so
always like, okay, don't stop and yeah.
so does opening a door how does opening a door make you feel then? Because I think I know what the answer is, but I want to hear you say it.
I've actually never been asked this question. That's a good one. I mean, not really. Some more excited, but not like, yeah, not like you pictured it. One step closer to the 30 houses I want to open, you know.
It sounds to me like, I could be wrong, that you're lying to yourself. Because what I heard was that every time you open a door, you feel stress, not happiness.
Yeah, it's a mix here. There is more stress to it. That's true.
And if opening a door causes you stress, the question then is, why do you feel stress and not excitement?
Mm. I mean, yeah, we're trying to make money as much as possible. So, and it's not an easy business. And yeah.
But you said your goal was to be the number one provider. And
Hmm.
sometimes being the number one provider doesn't mean making the most money.
That's true also.
But it sounds like you're driven by money, which I'm not judging you for that every business needs to make money.
Mm.
But it sounds to me like the bigger you get, the more stress you feel, not the more happiness and excitement and satisfaction you feel. Am I
Yeah,
wrong?
you're totally right on saying that. Yeah,
So why do you continue to try to grow bigger?
that's a good
Would
question.
would being the number one provider in the United Kingdom bring you so much stress that you have a heart attack in your 30s? Is that
It
what you
could.
want to move towards?
It could. No, you're all right. You're all right. I'm picturing it that way. Are you a psychologist by any chance?
I have a degree in psychology, yes.
That makes sense. Now I understand where you're coming from.
And I built a business that had no employees
Mm,
and it had no overhead, and I sold $15 million of services in 2 years. I walked away with $2 million. But then I walked into a tech company. I started a tech company,
mm-hmm.
and it required a lot of people, a lot of capital, and venture capital investors to make it grow.
Okay.
And when I started, I thought that's what I wanted.
Mm,
But then when I was having panic attacks and anxiety and gaining a ton of weight, which I've struggled to lose,
mm,
and it caused problems with my marriage, which I'm now divorced,
mm,
I had to accept the fact that I was running the business that was wrong for me.
mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the business died. I had invested over $500,000 into it from my own money, and I had raised another 500,000 from other investors, and the business still died. We had
Mm.
never generated a single dollar of income revenue.
Must have been a good
And
lesson.
oh, it was over a million lessons. The point I'm trying to make is I learned from that very, very clearly that we have to do the thing that suits us. And so now I'm back to running a business that doesn't require any employees and will never need a single dollar from other investors, because that's the kind of business, that's the kind of lifestyle that makes me happy. That's not to say that the business you have can't be something that makes you happy,
Mm-hmm.
but you've gotten lost along the way. And that's why you're stagnating, because you're afraid of the business getting any bigger, because you're afraid of having more debt to the banks. You're afraid of the pressure of having to have more people, to have more cleaning staff, to have more property managers, whatever things you have. you feel pressure, you feel stress, and it's forcing you. It's your body telling you, stop. I don't want any more of this. That's what I'm reading.
It's a good idea because we actually had I because it's a family business, right? And I
Mm.
actually discussed with them recently maybe into going into a similar venture that complements to it, but kind of drift position because of the things you've listed. I've sort of realized, not in the perspective you're putting it, is definitely a clearer perspective, but somewhat I've realized it's a psychologically hard business to be in. But I
Yeah.
think that's all business, you know. So I always tell myself it's like if it was easy, everyone could do it, right? So
Yeah. So one of my ex-girlfriends lives in London,
mm,
and she was working with her husband. He owned, I guess, about 14 properties, and she was managing all of it for
mm,
him. And
it's a
she
pain
was
in the ass.
constantly stressed. She
It
was
must have been a pain in the
constantly
ass.
dealing with all of the check-ins and the checkouts and making sure the cleaning staff was going. She was doing all of the management of all of the properties. And I think they made, over the 14 units, I think they did like 10,000 profit a month,
Okay.
which is shit, personally.
But for the amount of stress you get, I sometimes question it myself.
So, is there anybody that could run this business in your place if that's how you feel?
To be honest, the business doesn't, because I've always thought about how much would someone else charge me to do the work that I do, and I generally don't think the business makes enough money to cover that. So no, personally, I don't think.
Maybe that's why you feel pressure, is because all of the work, it doesn't mean much in terms of financial gain.
I mean, it's just everyday stuff that needs to be done, and yeah, I don't think it makes. I don't know. It's a hard picture to paint, to be honest.
Every business has stupid shit you don't want to do every day.
Yeah.
And so the goal of any business is to have the owner generate enough profit or revenue so that they can automate all of
Mm.
the shit they don't want to do that a human doesn't need to do, and
Yeah.
hire for the things they don't want to do that someone else is capable of doing. And so that way, you move yourself out of the daily operation of the business so that you
Mhm.
can focus on how to grow. Now, it's possible that if you can change the way your business operates, or you can change the way you view the business, that you can start to move yourself out of the daily operations so that then you can get out of the stagnation, which is caused by not generating enough money and not having enough access to cash to be able to operate more units. Because you could very easily just keep going to the banks and going, hey, give me a loan, I want to buy another house, give me a loan, I want to buy another house, because that's the only way you're going to grow, right?
Mhm.
Either you have the profit, which it seems like it's a very difficult task to get the profit to buy another house, or go
Mhm.
to a bank and ask for a loan, because going to investors, if you, okay, I'll put it this way. If you go to an outside investor for money for this business, the
Yeah.
business doesn't belong to you anymore. The profit
Yeah.
doesn't
No.
belong to you anymore. It's not a family business anymore.
Yeah.
And that's another question you have to ask yourself. A lot of investors won't give you money if they can't see that there's not going to be a return.
Yeah.
Or they might just hire their brother or their sister or their kid to like do it for them and
Mhm.
give them a share of the profits, right? So any smart investor would probably go, why am I giving you money? You
Mhm.
know, the profit you're turning isn't very great. So
Yeah.
why am I going to give you 100,000 quid or
Mm.
200,000 quid to buy a place, right?
Yeah.
So the bank is your friend. Basically, what you're doing is you're building a cash flow business that can pay for your family's lifestyle.
Yeah.
And if you've bought these places over
No,
time,
they're
you
not.
can.
Let me
You
just
don't even
clarify you
own
on
them?
that.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not owned. We do. It's called leasing, so we sublease out
Right.
on an early basis.
And that brings a whole nother level of stress because you're investing in the renovations of these places in some degree. I'm sure you're putting
That's
some
right.
money
Yeah.
into every property.
Of
And
course. Yeah. A
so
lot.
if the owner decides they're selling the place, you lose that investment. Then the owner is not going to pay you back for the 10,000 or 20,000 quid you've thrown into the place, probably. I don't know how much you're putting in, but I
Yeah, yeah,
imagine
that's
it's like
right.
10, 20. So the only way that you can properly do this business is if you own those places.
Mm. But
But
that is even harder to find.
that requires a whole nother level of cash. Yeah.
That's exactly right. I mean, some of the locations we have valuations of like 700 grand, so just one.
Yeah. It's it's not to say that it's not a bad business. If you don't mind, I mean, you said it's a family business, so obviously you're sharing the money with multiple people, which makes it shittier. Like if you were doing all of this on your own, no, it's the truth. If you were doing 7 units all on your own and maybe you had
Yeah.
someone to help with like check-ins or cleaning, whatever, let's say you were making at least 1,000 a unit per month profit,
Mm.
like for the UK, 7,000 a month profit is quite a good living.
Yeah, it is.
But
I mean, no, it's not the case that on our family, I mean, it's just mom, dad, sister, brother, and that's it. And it's not to say like they all have jobs, full-time jobs, so they have, we set this thing up so it grows and essentially, like you said, pays for us. But it's not structured in a way that anytime we make money, we just have to divide profits. Like barely any money ever comes out of it, and we always just try to reinvest to make it better.
right,
So
but that's the problem as well, is because you have this vision, and the reality is that's not what you want. And
it's not
if any,
working that well. Yeah.
does it make sense to continue then, or does it make sense to maybe remove your family from it, buy them out of their position, and be the only one that does it? Because if they're working other jobs and it
Mm.
seems like maybe they're not helping you, you're doing all of the work, but then you have to share with them.
I mean, it's not I have to, but yeah, I get your proposition. I mean, but in terms of the time frame, wouldn't you say that because I've reading statistics like usually people come up with it's normal for any business to be not so profitable within 5 years of operating. I don't know how true it is in the business world, but
It
yeah,
depends. Like I said, my business had it was just consulting. I was selling some of my own services and I was selling other people's services, and it was only open for 2 years, and I sold $15 million of services, mine and other people's services. It depends on
that's
the business. If you're an e-commerce brand, you could be doing $1 million a month within the first 3 months with like probably 20 to 30% profit margins.
I don't know. I've always been um excuse my not understanding, but I've always thought of these businesses as just like impossible like ideas. I don't know, just so out of
What,
because
e-commerce?
yeah, like e-commerce, because I hear a lot of people talk about drop shipping and all this stuff online, and I just think it's half of the time it's not that true. But I'm not, I don't know, I'm not an expert in that field, so
The thing with drop shipping, like all of this stuff is possible. Any business is possible if you have the right mind to start this business. I'm not telling you should start a drop shipping business,
yeah, yeah, of
right?
course,
The vast majority of them fail. This is
yeah,
the truth. And a lot of the reasons that a lot of the time they fail because the person running them doesn't understand how to manage money.
mm.
And if they suddenly come into money, they blow it all on like Bali and hookers,
Yeah,
right? And weed and alcohol. They don't get it. Like a lot of these kids are like
yeah,
15, 16, they blow up a business and then the business implodes because they don't know what they're doing.
yeah,
So there's there's a number of ways to look at every kind of business, right? For me, I like the idea of service. I've just gotten into AI. I'm building an AI tool. I'm possibly going to build another AI tool, but I'm not going to go out and raise money for them because I see them as lead gen to serve people, right? To sell them a
hmm,
service. But I also have an idea for an e-commerce brand. I tried an e-commerce brand through Amazon FBA once before, about 9 years ago, and I lost $6,000 trying to do it.
mm.
So, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, of course, of course. So would you say services are your best bet then?
I think that I am best suited to helping people to solve problems. I think
Mm,
that's my strength. So, I tried a software company. I now know a lot about software. I could
mm,
very easily launch another software brand, but I've learned the lesson that I don't want investors in my life because
mm,
investors were half of the reason why my business failed.
mm,
But the business that I didn't have investors didn't fail because of investors. It failed because the market winds changed.
mm-hmm,
I mean, it didn't fail. I stopped doing it because the money stopped coming in because the market winds changed and they
mm,
never came back. And that's fine. but I learned a lot from that experience. So, you know, I can't tell you what to do with your life.
Yeah.
If I was in your situation, I would either remove my family from the equation so that all of the money is mine because it's my full-time job.
Yeah. Like I told you, it's barely anything even now because of the loans. But yeah,
But that's
it's
the thing, right?
yeah.
How are you living on this?
Uh, well, they're helping me out, so
Your family is giving you money every month to keep the business going?
oh no, not in that sense. Like so the barely little I make out of it, I help to pay a house bill, but mainly the other bills they pay for. They don't give me money, but yeah. So I live with them still, and yeah.
Why do you need a loan for this
Why
business?
did
If
I
you're not
loan
buying them,
alone?
yeah, if you're not buying the properties, why did you need loans?
You said it, renovating is one, then there's deposits, there's rent upfront, which, homeowners one when, especially when you're new, because they don't really trust you or whatnot. And then because I don't come from money, so when I started, I have zero, maybe £5 to my name. So just took out loan after loan after loan. We got like 150,000 worth of loans,
And
all country.
how much a month are you supposed to pay back?
Is upwards of 6,000.
So what's your profit at the end of the month on the 7 units?
Like I said, it just comes to less than 1,000 because of the loans. So if the loans
Hmm.
weren't there, it'll be upwards of 8,000.
Is there no way to increase your price by like a little bit just so that it gets you to maybe 1,200, 1,500 a month?
I've tried it, and yeah, like I told you, we've decreased our cost in cleaning products, decreased the cost in cleaning stuff, decreased every single cost possible out there to please bills, electricity bills, and yeah, that's what. Not like after doing all of that, that's the amount of money. Like before, we were losing money.
The easiest way to lower your cost is to renegotiate your agreements with the landlord so the rent comes down.
Yeah, but that's impossible in the UK because I already have fairly good rates, and yeah, in London it's not happening because there's so much demand. Like if they wanted to put in Rightmove is a popular software here, it'll take them a week to rent out for the exact same price they're charging me. So yeah, that's some. I've tried it. I've tried it with a few, and yeah, all of them have come up with a serious no. Like if I ask again, they'll just take it. And so
I think the loan is depressing you.
yeah,
Because
it's
if you didn't
pressuring.
have, so it doesn't make sense for you. Okay. If you were to take on more loans, you will get
Mm,
deeper into debt and you will
yeah,
prolong your ability to profit.
that's right.
I understand that you have a goal of being the number one in the UK.
Hmm.
I think you need to pay off the debt. Once you've paid off the debt, then you'll have 8,000 a month profit. Then you can start to look at saving up to maybe buy your own place.
That could be one. I mean, that might
Or,
take like 4 or 5 years though. But yeah.
but you, but if you see all of this money coming in and you don't keep most of it
Mm.
versus you keep all of it and you have the full ability to do whatever you want with it, you could even take that money and you could invest it into another idea.
I had the thoughts come around, yeah.
Because one of the things that I wish I had done, I wish I had taken the time to find out how I could take that business that was doing well and instead of just letting it die, find a way to pivot so that I could keep some revenue coming in somehow.
Mm,
That I didn't understand at the time.
mm,
And so if I was in that position and I started that next company, I could have taken those hundreds of thousands of dollars of profit and turned it into an investment into my business. But instead,
mm.
I took hundreds of thousands of my savings that I took from the business as profit and invested in this new business idea. And so that is a permanent loss I'll never get back. But if I took it from the business and not myself, then
Mm.
it would be money that I wouldn't care about because it was never mine to begin
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
So I feel like if you get rid of the debt and make that your priority, when you
Mm.
finish paying off the debt, which should be like a year and a half, maybe, right? Because you're putting 7,000 a month into it.
Yeah.
So 12 months is 100. Oh no, sorry, 12 months is 80,000, so it's like maybe 24 months max. 2 years, the debt's paid off, and now
Mm,
you're sitting around with 7, 8,000 a month profit in pounds.
mm,
And then at that time, you can afford to give your family each 2,000 pounds a month and yourself 2,000. I don't know what the split is,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you can give everybody cash flow every month,
Mm,
or you can use some of that money as a down payment on renting another place and getting other things. Rather than having loan money, you have all this profit from these other businesses, and now you're in a healthy business where the profit from the business is paying it forward to get you to grow.
yeah.
And so then you can get that eighth house, that ninth house, 10th house, 11th house, and you won't need to take on debt. You'll
Mm,
use cash in the account to fund it.
mm. Yeah, that's the most healthy way to go about it, to be honest. It's just, sit and wait until everything's paid off.
How old are
And
you?
yeah, I'm 21.
Man, you have so much fucking time.
Everyone tells me this, but in my head I don't. I don't know why.
I'm 38.
Okay.
I look at the world a little bit differently. When I was 21, I was not even beginning to think about business, and you've been doing this for several years already.
Indeed,
This
yeah.
might not be the business that you run for the rest of your life, but this can be a business that generates enough money for you to figure out what it is you do want to do and invest in that.
Mm,
But in order to get there, you got to get rid of the debt from the bank.
mm,
Don't go raising money from investors. Don't ask your family for any money.
mm,
If the business works, you should be happy that you have a profitable business. You should
mm.
celebrate every fucking day that you don't have to sell your time to some other asshole who doesn't care about you.
Yeah, that I'm really happy about. I'm really grateful about that.
So if you can adjust your mindset so that every damn day you wake up happy that you're one step closer, you're one day closer to getting rid of the loan, so that you're one step closer to having more money than almost every other Brit in the United Kingdom,
Especially at my age, yeah. Mm.
that should give you the emotional fuel to get through the next 2 years.
Yeah, that's very right. That's very right. Wise words. Wise words. It just requires a shit ton of patience. I need to train my patience. But you are right. You are right on what you said. So it seems like you're very much against investorships. Is it just because of the control loss, right?
If an investment is worthy, it's worth talking about. It's not
Mm.
worth it for your business.
Okay.
And as you put the energy into talking to investors, you're not thinking about growing your business.
Mm.
You're not thinking about how you can make better pictures, how you can have better posts, how you can get a higher percentage of people that stay with you to leave a nice review, blah blah
Mm.
blah.
Yeah.
Right? You're not thinking about the analytics of your business. Every moment you spend thinking about investors, you let your business slip further away.
Yeah, that's true. So in terms of, I had this other idea. I don't know how crazy you might think it is, but when we were talking about controlling the overheads, there's some overheads which are really hard to control. And I thought of, for instance, some as like, let's just say, cleaning products that I have to buy. Instead of buying them here from whatever they charge me in supermarkets, which is usually the quickest and easiest way, maybe start put something on the side and start controlling even more, maybe getting tons loaded from places like China, speak to the direct producers and bring them like to me, controlling more of my overhead or like cleaning, for instance. Yeah, we do we subcontract the cleaners because if someone misses the day or someone calls in sick, it's not a problem, and we can't afford to be having people calling sick. And it turns out some sort of cheaper, but then I thought, okay, maybe if I can reduce every £3 per hour I'm paying them by multiply, I don't know, 200 hours a week, I'll save a lot more money in that way. And yeah, I don't know. Have you? What do you think of those kind of ideas? Controlling the overheads even more.
It's always the easiest to raise your prices.
That's true. That's true as well.
It's much easier to raise your price than to lower your cost.
uh, Yeah, no, that's a good way of putting it. I mean, I've tried, but yeah, I could always revise and try more.
So when you tried, what happened?
I think. Actually, that's a good question because I started doing that about 2, 3 weeks ago, where I just decided to increase all my nightly rates by like 10%. And I don't think it actually affected the load of bookings. I'm just gonna confirm that now, but I
Yeah,
did that
this is
like 2 weeks
something that
ago.
you have to analyze because if you see over the next 2 months that your bookings drop, you have to think, is it the price or is it the season
Yeah, season
or
definitely plays a big part. Like January is impossible for you to raise your price. That's for example. But when it comes to May, June, yeah, you could take a good shot and get enough lucky, let's just say. But yeah, I don't think it's changing the demand. My computer's just not loading at all. But yeah, surprisingly enough, it hasn't. So we still have full calendars.
then you've learned the most important thing in business. Keep raising your prices until people say no.
That's definitely a good thing to try. Okay, yeah,
That's what I
gonna give
learned.
that a shot. Gonna give that a shot.
I learned that a long time ago. When I was living in China and people kept asking me to give speeches. I'm fluent in Chinese, so some of my speeches were in English, some of them were in Chinese in Mandarin.
Okay.
And at first I was doing them for free. Then I was like, why the fuck am I doing this for free? I should be charging for this. And so then someone was like, oh, how much do you want? Or someone was like, oh, do do you want this opportunity? And I was like, yeah, give me $50. I was like 23, 24.
Yeah.
And China, my rent was like $200 a month
Okay.
for a whole apartment. And I was like, yeah, give me $50. And they're like, okay. Next time I got asked, I want 100. Okay. Next time I got asked, I want 150. Okay. Every time I keep increasing my prices and there was never a no. So I just kept saying yes until people said no. So I said, okay, well, obviously I should try this with everything I do where people want me to do something. And then I just adapted to that. And, you know, there were periods where people were paying me 50,000, $100,000 commissions and it
Okay.
was it was easy because
Gonna give that a shot.
I learned to understand the value that I was giving them.
Hmm. And in terms of, let's just say there was a season of I try keep on going and I see the demand drop. Would you say the thing where okay, let me try to keep those prices, or and go back to the older prices, and maybe decrease my costs to generate those nightly rates?
I would look at things like service fees, cleaning fees, right? People
Hmm.
may say no, not because your nightly rate is wrong. They may
Hmm.
say no because they don't like the other fees. So
Yeah, that's true.
if you have a higher nightly but lower other extra fees, because Airbnb is gluttonous as fuck with fees.
That's true.
So if there's ways of tweaking these things, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't be concerned with the nightly rate because if everyone around you is charging the same rate,
Hmm.
there's no reason why people would say no to you, assuming your interior is better than,
Yeah,
everyone
it
else.
is definitely. We've definitely put some work into it. But I think is that because London is growing so much in competition, there's a lot of newcomers coming in, bringing in the cheapest of prices, like just so they can maybe they have one unit or two,
They're
and they're
probably owned
happy.
by Chinese who don't care.
Yeah, that's. I mean, some of my landlords are Chinese, so.
I'm not surprised.
So, do you live in China? Is that your
I live in
expertise?
I live in Portugal. I was in China for 10 years.
Oh, how comes? What brought you over there?
To Portugal or to China?
Well, both. I actually lived in Portugal myself.
You lived?
Yeah, I lived in Portugal. I'm Brazilian. When we entered Europe,
Uh,
that's where we went first.
I was kind of thinking because of your name, Santos.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. I live in Lisbon and I left Asia. I was in China 10 years and then I was in Vietnam for 4.5 years. And then I moved to Portugal during COVID because I felt like I spent most of my 20 or all of my 20s in Asia and half of my 30s in Asia. And I didn't get a citizenship out of it. And I
Well,
really want a citizenship. So I figured if I move to Portugal, which is the easiest country in Europe to get a citizenship, then I can become a European.
mm. So, where's your background from?
Miami.
Okay. So how
Yeah,
comes you never did
my
business
family is
in America?
Polish. My family's Polish a few generations back,
Okay,
but they immigrated to the US about 140 years ago.
okay.
Why did I not do business in Miami? Because I don't like living in the US.
Oh, I thought that it was a great nation for business. I mean, that's what they make it seem like.
I just don't like living in America.
Okay, makes sense.
I never did. I left the US 2 months after I got my college diploma.
Mm, well,
Yeah, so while you're there doing houses at your age, I moved to China by myself.
good,
So,
good.
we all make different decisions. For me,
Yeah,
I wanted to experience something radically different from what the US was. So, that's why I
mm,
went over to China because it's the fucking exact opposite of America.
I can imagine. Can imagine. How did you get on with the language? Did it take you? Apparently, it takes many decades for you to become even close to being very fluent.
I'm very fluent in Mandarin.
Oh,
I was
impressive.
working with the government and the media, and I was doing private speeches and training, private training, and all sorts of stuff, international trade, you name it. I was trying it in China. I was heavily involved in blockchain as well in Mandarin,
Oh
and
well.
a lot of my clients were Chinese and they couldn't speak English, so I took
Okay.
advantage of being one of the only white people that could speak Chinese and speak about the technology and the economics and all of that. So I had a very niche business, which was why I was able to sell so much so fast.
Mm.
But it
Yeah,
took
they say that
years.
riches are in the niches. Yeah.
It took years to learn Mandarin well enough to be able to do that,
Hmm.
and it took years to be physically in the place where I was able to build those relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was in Wuhan in the beginning, in the first 5 years, and then I was in Shenzhen. Shenzhen is next to Hong Kong, which is was its own country before.
Okay.
Uh, and a lot of the business owners that were involved in this were in southern China as well as in Hong Kong. So I had access to a lot of really great business people, a lot of wealthy people, a lot of entrepreneurs down there in the south. So, but if
The
I
bad
hadn't
things.
learned the Chinese and I hadn't taught myself about blockchain in Chinese, would have never had those opportunities.
Really good. It's really good. I mean, guess yeah, like you said, everyone has their own story behind it, and yeah, yours looks sounds really interesting. It's great. And I appreciate a lot that, you give me some insights
Yeah, you're
into
welcome.
me. So
Everyone thinks they have a problem, but the problem they think they have is the wrong problem they're focusing on, and that's why they're stuck in their loops. And so when you go back to the mindset and to the lifestyle choices and their vision, those kinds of things, then everything is very obvious.
it's true, it's true. I mean, yeah, I always think about how to systemize this thing, but I just sometimes can't find a way so that I can
You
focus on other
can't.
things.
You can't systematize this. You need to put a human where you are. That's the only
Yeah,
way out of this business.
mm, it's true, it's true. I mean, yeah, that might take some years, as we've spoken. Maybe getting rid of the debt first, and yeah,
There's no reason you can't get rid of the debt and then hire someone to sit in your place.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
You'll have less than 7 or 8 thousand a month, but hopefully by then you're also charging more, or you
Yeah,
have
no, in
better
5 years,
units.
definitely, definitely 5 years, things tend to go up in prices a lot. So yeah,
Well,
definitely.
you can thank the U.S. Federal Reserve for that. We're going
Yeah,
to
no,
see a lot of inflation very quickly because of Trump's policies.
that's
So
true. That's
you
true.
may see prices rise very quickly, but don't see that as a good sign
Mm. I mean,
because the
hopefully
landlord's
it
going to
makes me
try to
more
raise the
money.
rent. Yeah, but the landlord's going to try to raise rent.
Legally, they can't do it more than a certain percentage, more than 3%. So, and if I can raise my
Yeah,
prices 15%, it makes a difference.
yes, they say the same thing in Portugal. But all they do is they go, I'm renovating. I'm sorry. I need you to vacate so that I can renovate in the middle of a contract.
Yeah.
And then they just increase the price by 30 or 40% for the next person. That's
Yeah,
how they
that
get
can
out
happen
of it.
too.
It could
That can
happen
happen
because you
too.
don't own the property. That's your big problem. But
Yeah,
as
true.
long as you have good relationships with those landlords and they don't raise the prices too much, I see no reason why, if you're not prudent, you could pay off all of the debt to the banks in 2 years or less.
Hopefully, hopefully. No, I'm definitely gonna give that a try and reconsider my goals and position. Definitely. Gotta keep the bar high, but yeah, putting more feet to the ground.
Exactly. Just be realistic, be honest
Mm.
with yourself,
Yeah.
and you won't wake up feeling like you're stagnant because every time you pay the bank money, that's not stagnation, that's progress, right? Even if your dream of having a million houses, whatever it is,
Mm.
even if you're not hitting that, getting out of debt will be your fastest cash, you know,
Mm.
benefit. I've seen people in the US do something quite different where they're buying houses and renting those houses long term,
Mm.
and they're able to compound with the bank's interest in order to get 1,000 doors in like 2, 3, 4 years. They're just every day they're buying properties almost. But that's insane, and you don't want that headache.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a. I don't know. That's why I always thought America was a because I always heard of these like favorable loans for businesses in America, and I always thought, okay, maybe is it good
Yeah,
to
they're called small business association loans,
yeah SBAs? Yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah.
but now the interest rates are going to go back up again.
Mm.
So that's another reason why you want to avoid getting into more debt because you're going to get less favorable loans.
Yeah, I've already been having them in like the ones that we took like 1 year and a bit ago. And we had to take out to grow further. They were almost double than the ones we got at the beginning. So yeah,
That would have been the sign to me to not take the loan.
yeah. Mm. Well, I didn't know the lesson, so now that I learned that,
You know
not
now.
very good. Yeah, I mean, I guess like you said, every lesson is a progress as well. So
Exactly. Even the
no,
ones that cause you to wake up and sweat.
or not sleep. But
Yes.
yeah, those are the ones. No, but that's great. That's great. So it's
All
definitely a
right.
pleasure. Definitely a
Yeah,
pleasure speaking to you, and I really appreciate the advice. And well, yeah, I mean, hope we might stay in touch in the future.
sounds good. Thank you, and good luck to you. And don't forget to leave me a review.
Don't worry, I definitely will. I
All right.
appreciate it.
Cheers.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.